Hi friends, it's Kathleen here again, and today I have another layout process video to share with you. And for this layout I'm using the Joyful Day collection. For this month we didn't have any requirements which collection to use, so I just used the one that I love most of the three recent ones. And I don't know why, but I had the idea of creating some kind of grid style layout, and this paper here was actually perfect for it. So I'm cutting down some of the squares of this paper. They are, I think, about 2.5 inches wide. And I also printed 3 photos in the same size. And all 3 of them are of our dog in the same setting, just a little bit different from each other. So I think photos that have kind of the similar subject or a similar style work well for a layout like this, because you don't want it to become too busy. So I just cut down a few of those squares, and a few of them have some phrases on them, a few are blank or just with a pattern, and I'm just trying to mix and match and find a way to arrange them and make it look nice. And I'm doing this on an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of white cardstock. I didn't want to do it on a 12 by 12 because the squares are quite small, and I didn't want to add more photos or more paper squares, so that's why I'm sticking to this paper size or cardstock size. And I used only the squares from this cut apart sheet and just this one green pattern paper green square from another pattern paper. And I also, as you can see to my right, I have some die cuts. Here I mixed the Joyful Day and the Everyday Musings collection. First of all, I just picked out some that would go with the color scheme I had in mind. So I find it easier to work with a certain color scheme. So this time I'm sticking with the colors that I have in my photos. So pink, kind of red, green and white. I think this makes for a very, I don't know, I think it just goes together really well. I also thought about adding this kind of blue in there. I think that would have looked nice because it's a contrast to the photos, but I don't know, in the end I just stuck with those colors. And a few moments ago, I'm not sure if you caught that, I also rearranged my photos, and this is because I wanted to have them in this way, because if you have a look at the photo in the top row, you can see that my dog is looking across the page. Then in the second row she's looking across the page but to the right, and in the third row I placed my photo in the center because she's looking kind of straight on. So I'm trying to position my photos in a way that the subject doesn't look off the page, if you know what I mean. And usually I don't really do it consciously, so this time I didn't do it consciously. It just, I don't know, it just bugged me. It didn't feel right how I placed the photos, and when I rearranged them I kind of noticed why it didn't feel right. And yeah, so just something that maybe you can keep in mind for when you're creating layouts. This is by no means a rule that you have to follow, it's just something that I do or try to do. I'm sure you will find layouts of mine where I haven't done that, so yeah, there are always exceptions to the rules, of course. And so I'm just picking out embellishments, and as I said, I mostly use the Joyful Day collection, but also some everyday musings like this layered heart sticker in the lower right corner that says happy, I think happy place or happy heart, something like this. And some labels from the 2 different die cut sets, and I also cut down a few more pieces of pattern paper to back my photos. And here I'm using, I think I used 2 squares from the same cut apart sheet and 1 piece from just a scrap that I had left from one of the Joyful Day papers. And again in the same colors to stick to the color scheme, and I wanted to use this puffy sticker right here that says beautiful. So I'm trying to figure out where to place it so that it doesn't overlap my photo too much. I didn't want to of course you can see on the lower part of my layout I have enough white space to actually put the title there, but I wanted to have it overlap part of the photo and the square of the pattern paper to kind of tie everything together, because I didn't want to have it kind of a block style all the way through. And yeah, now I'm just gluing down, or here I glued down, I think the first row of the pattern papers, or the squares. And I didn't use a ruler or anything, I just eyeballed it. But of course, if that's something that you have trouble with getting it straight, or where you want to have it completely even, then of course you can use a ruler, or a T-square ruler would work best. But you know, I usually eyeball it and just fill around with it until it feels right. And I think I got it mostly centered and kind of even. I did pop up my photos on foam tape, but only the photos, just to help them stand out a bit more. And here you can see how I'm placing, or how I placed the title, or part of the title, so that it doesn't cover the face of my dog. And here I'm just gluing together those two bow die cuts, again with a piece of foam tape to add some more dimension, because I have this dimensional heart on the lower part, or in the lower row, and I wanted to have another dimensional embellishment in the top row as well. And I think the labels are all from the die cuts from Joyful Day and Everyday Musing, but there are also a few stickers, and one of the papers has labels too, where you could cut some down. And now I'm just adding a few more pieces here and there, and I wanted to add UR to my title, and the small colorful puffy alphabet stickers from Joyful Day are perfect for that. I had enough left to spell U and R in the colors of my layout, so I didn't want to mix all of the colors. And here I added another piece of paper. I like to do that to kind of have something peeking from behind the white cardstock, but you can see, so I tried to staple this kind of, that part that I ripped open to my page, but I missed twice actually. No, 3 times, as you can see here. So I stapled too far from the actual folded part. So I had to take out the staples and do it again. So I kind of messed up a little bit. I'm not completely happy with that part, but you know, what can you do? I definitely didn't want to do everything again just because of that little piece. And I used this center square in red to add my journaling with a white Jelly Roll pen. I believe it's a Uniball, but I would have to look that up. So if you want to know what kind of white pen I'm using, let me know. It's the first white pen I'm actually happy with, that you can see on darker papers and that doesn't dry out. So I wanted to add a few more enamel dots to this page, but I only had 2 of the yellow ones left from Joyful Day, and I didn't have any other ones that fit the color scheme. So I'm coming in with my Nouveau drops in white, in carnation pink, and let's see, the yellow one is dandelion yellow. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So yeah, and here's a top tip. Don't be impatient like me and just do your Nouveau drops at the end when you're done with everything else. You will see 2 instances here where I messed up, or almost messed up. So first, I thought, I wanted to erase the lines where I had my journaling. So this was already high risk, but I managed to do it without smudging any of the Nouveau drops, or without getting any of the eraser bits into the wet Nouveau drops. But then I wanted to add more Nouveau drops and more, actually, enamel dots in this kind of coral red color. So yeah, have a look here in the lower right corner. So I added this pink Nouveau drop, and now I thought, I want some more of this coral red. So I get out some enamel dots from my stash, and this is fine. And here I go. Put my finger right into the wet Nuvo drops. So I had to wipe it off, and then I just used the coral red Nuvo drop. I replaced it and put it over the part where I smudged the pink one, and everything's fine. But, you know, you live and you learn. Besides, I probably will never learn actually. But, you know, there's always a way to cover it up, I think. So this is the final layout. I hope you enjoyed seeing this process. I hope you feel inspired, and thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!